session has papers both from this college only, staff of this college, Sri Nagarajanji and Sri T.M. Venkateshanji. Before their paper presentations, Vinayak Pandey will briefly tell us how empirical research has been conducted by him in verifying the Phalashruti of Vishnu Sahasranama with the devotees, actual practitioners on the ground. Please.
Namaskaram to everyone. Yeah, and so yes, this paper is not about Vaishnavism. It is rather about the source, very source of the Vaishnavism, Bhagavan Sri Hari Mahavishnu. And the perspective I come with is basically as of a devotee, a Shraddhalu, as well as my formal training in management research, all that. So I try to combine with it, and I'll during this slide, and I'll definitely will be brief. I'll try to be as brief I can be, but we'll briefly touch upon why it is important to look at such aspects nowadays in the current context. Probably it was not required maybe a couple of decades ago. So I'm not looking into all these. We all know that kind of various Sahasranamam versions we get, and the most popular one will being the Mahabharata one, which is widely recited across land and earth. Phalashruti, as we have know, so we all know there are specific. I'm just looking at it. So the worldly, so there are moksha, of course, the ultimate objective. Prior to that, there are cognitive and tangible benefits specifically mentioned in the text. And there are over millennia, there are commentaries and bhashyas, acharyas, Bhayanta scholars have written about the transformational impact the kind of text had on people. Again, I'm leaving all this. So obviously we can't have a testimony of somebody who has already attained moksha. So we are looking at some of those aspects. So if you quickly look at the bottom aspect, it is about the negative aspects being taken care of, removed. Which if you connect or correlate with the Husband hygiene factors in Western psychology, you will see this freeness from anger, jealousy, lust, etc., etc. All these are negative aspects are removed. That is the first stage. Go to the next letter, then purification of mind, power for noble qualities and peace of mind, etc. So there is a change within when you practice with your sadhana. And with those internal changes, they get manifested in your karma, and that actually changes the surroundings around and the pratibhal of that, which actually get translated into tangible gains in the lokik vyavhar, which is fame, reputation, valor, undiminishing riches, good health, pleasure of life, progeny, etc. And finally, the moksha. So. And there are several citations, like the scholar already has mentioned several, and I'm not getting into again all those details. Bhagavan Adi Shankara himself has mentioned the Sakal Purushartham Sadhanam Sukh Sampadam Alp Prayasam. All four Purusharth can be easily be attained through this. And Charaka in his text has mentioned Vishnu Sahasranam Parayan as a remedy for many of those illnesses. Specifically for high fever, which can be a manifestation or symptomatic of very serious illnesses as well. And there are examples of well-known Upanyaskar Sri Dushchand Sridhar. He mentioned in one of his talks that Mahaperyava of Kanchi, he was in some remote area and was suffering very high fever suddenly and in a very critical situation. His followers were not able to arrange any medical aid for that, and then he immediately called Vedpati people. He said, just recite 3 times Sahasranama, and that was done, and within 1 hour time he was fine. And there are other references also in, especially if you look at Jyotish, it has been referred and prescribed as a remedy for many of the worldly problems. So again, I'm just rushing through all this. if you look at the latest references available in literature, Bhagavata, which happened in 7th century in Kadambari, is mentioned the then prevailing practice of uninterrupted recitation of Sahasranamam in the one corner of community labor rooms. So that was considered as a remedy for easy and natural deliveries as well as fame-giving children. All these references, if you look at, it goes back in history centuries ago. Then I looked at if something comparable analysis or references available in the modern age, somebody has done it. I couldn't find much except this one pilot study. This is a International Journal of Ayurveda and Pharmaceuticals, and this published paper in 2016. Obviously, it was a pilot study done by some professors on a research scholar, their own disciple. When that researcher participant was given a noun pronouncing training by a Sanskrit expert, and then that person, participant, we call it in statistical language, he did this recitation of Sahasranamam every day at AM for 12 weeks. And there are, of course, a standard statistical tool. I'm again not getting into details of in the interest of time. So then serum, cortisol, stress level, blood pressure level, autonomic functions, cognitive functions, all those measures through standard statistical tools, they were measured pre and post intervention. Intervention we are calling, because using it this statistical language, that is basically Sahasranam Parayana. And post intervention, there is a statistically significant results which has been reported in this paper. The depression, anxiety, stress, cortisol level, all there were significantly decreased. Blood pressure regulated within the normal limits, and then again spatial memories was also significantly improved. But this is just a small pilot study. Except this study, there was no reference, at least I could find, in either in English or in Hindi at least. See why important these things, because I being a student of management, I do remember, if you look at the literature in the management side, all their intervention is the Western, because what we follow is basically, unfortunately, completely entirely Western. Nothing wrong with being following Western, but we don't have our own stuff in that. Just 3 or 4 decades ago, there are all studies, improvement, management methods, techniques are based on physical aspects. Man management, material management, time management, how to make it efficient. There are hardly anything on cognitive aspects, hardly anything. And it has just started creeping up just 3 or 4 decades ago. And there is a mystery behind it, and if you could get into, I do remember, IQ supposed to, the intelligence quotient supposed to be the only thing which can make you a successful person. It used to be. Suddenly, just few decades ago, it happened like that EQ became important, the emotional quotient. And when you get into all this, of course, Harvard have been propagating and at the leading edge of the management, they call sciences. So all those references, if you get deeper into it, you realize people who have conceived those theories have been banking heavily on the literature from Indian, Hindu texts, Buddhist texts, and several other things. And nowhere that attribution is there. So it is important actually to look at those aspects and do. I will not be surprised, I am seriously concerned about, for instance, if, say, Vishnu Sahasranam Parayan gives some certain cognitive results which is there, and as a devotee, you and I don't require any validation for that, any analysis of that. We know it is anubhuti. But look at it from the outside world point of view. If tomorrow they are concerned and they have the resources, and there has been on a wide scale that kind of experimentation done, and the methodology developed and paper presented, and then coming out with seminal and claiming. See, once you claim something, it is very difficult to challenge that. And we have seen, like in case of yoga, Om Uchcharan have been replaced by, say, 1, 2, 3. We have seen Gita has been propagated as a management text, not as a religious or Hindu text. We have seen so many other examples. So we need to claim our own heritage. We need to claim our own culture, and that has to be done in a manner which is understandable in current context. We cannot ignore the external hostility, external environment we are living in this days. So just this study is basically, so this is the crux of the, whether the Falashruti associated with Vishnu Sahasranamam recitation is being experienced by contemporary devotees or not. That was the basically. So I did not have the resources and time, and I'm being into corporate, not even currently not into academics, but have that academic bend of mind. I could not organize that scale, that kind of study at that scale. So what I looked at, sort of whether, so the primary data has to be there. So whether there is a proxy data available for that, I can arrange that. And for that, I digged out into internet. All kind of sites I went into to look at if that experiment is not being done. Because generally the statistical experience, such kind of studies are basically either you do a certain parameters identified, you measure them, you put your intervention in this case is Parayan of Sahasranamam, then post intervention what kind of result comes out of it. Or you say one control group is there, the other group is there, you intervene in one group, then compare the result with the control group kind of things. So as a proxy to that, I actually digged out into internet and realized whether there is a proxy data that people themselves have subjected themselves to this kind of intervention or not. And I was surprised to see the results of the thousands of such experiences have been there. You get into details, one example, somebody is sharing their own testimony, and then in response, people are commenting on that, and lot of stuff available on that. This personal blog, your Quora website, and then Yahoo groups, YouTube, Facebook, all those kind of social media platform were searched into, and there are literally thousands of such references available. So what I did, I just selected 108 references based on the kind of information available with the kind of background information required when you do some analysis. So there was no particular reason for selecting 108 only. It was a good number for us, so that's how I did. The location, if you look at the people, of course, from different states within India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, USA, UK, Germany, Canada. So it was varied in terms of geography. So I just quickly say, I ask myself, how much is the chances for these testimonies being fake or motivated? And if you all know, and there has to be some reason for somebody to spend time in writing, in most cases, several pages of their experiences. It takes time and effort. I will not do it unless I stand to gain something, either as a reputation or some fame or some association or in terms of material gain. But both these possibilities were ruled out. For the reason, in most of the cases, people did not share sufficient information which can enable them to identify in their real life. And there are different regions, could be different regions. Many of these people share their personal experiences, personal problems, which they didn't want to be identified with in the public domain. Neither of them suggested for organizing any yajna or purchasing some precious stone or organizing some feast or whatever, or anything expensive or anything which will require to spend some money. So there was no motivation as such which could actually lead these people to put a fake testimony. So that was a basic. So it is more than reasonably one can conclude whatever people have written there is their own. And if you look at the language they use, in most cases it is so touching and it's full of emotions. It's their own stories. So these are the location, gender, profession, location-wise, all these analysis. But since this was not a study organized by me at a time, and there was no common format available, so there was sort of a lot of deficiency or the gaps, like people shared whatever information they wished to share. Many times names are not there, age were not mentioned, some other things are not there. So there is no sort of common sort of format followed. But whatever was available in case of age data was not available in case of 87%, but I could see that at least some examples like say 26 year to 65 years old people were submitting those testimonies. In terms of gender, 48% were male, whosoever shared the information based on that, and 36% were female, and 60% did not reveal anything with regard to this parameter. And people were householder, service class, business, and all those locations I have already shared with you. So quickly, so 18% of this lot, they mentioned it clearly they have been reciting Sahasranamam right from their childhood. In rest of the cases, either they did not mention anything about it, or they said they just started, say somebody say a few months back and few years back, etc. Only 6% admitted they undergone some formal training for Sahasranam Parayan. In rest cases, there was no information available with this regard. If you look at quickly, just just concluding it. So, say in case of 84%, they described as a necessary condition that quote unquote complete devotion or shraddha in this Bhagwan Vishnu. That is the needed prerequisite, the only requirement. While in 16% cases, they did not mention any such prerequisite. They omitted mentioning, or they deliberately decided not to mention. Not sure about it. Another reported requirement to experience the phalam was the regular or daily chanting, and that was mentioned by 56%. So daily, yes, many people mention daily, many say regular. So I assume they meant daily, because regular could be, there could be different perception of that. The shortest duration for which somebody was reciting out of these 108 were 2 months, and the longest one is 30 years in case of, and the average 14 months. 50% devotees recited Vishnu Sahasranamam for lesser than 3 years. Out of 108, 50% they had been reciting for lesser than 3 years time, and 5% devotees mentioned that they had no clue at all about Vishnu Bhakti. Still they attained benefits. Since they face some problem, somebody advised them to do that, and without even having shraddha and bhakti and even knowing about too much about it, they just do it just in anticipation of some relief. And 5% say, yes, we were like this and we got this whatever relief they were looking in. Quickly, if you look at the reported accomplishments attribution, see the improved finance in case of 60%, 63% they reported it. In effective blood pressure management, 35% they reported. Progeny cases, yet they had children thereafter, 19%. Longevity, better health, 16%. Even in case of better prognosis for chronic diseases such as Alzheimer, cancer, and Down syndrome, in 11% cases they reported this. Because it is so diverse data, there was no format, so they describe their own problem, then they say we did this, and then this was the result. That's how it was. And on this is the tangible, measurable aspect, and the cognitive aspect. If you look at the calmness, peace, and these are different words they have used. So those similar words I have put together, and that percentage has been arrived at accordingly. Like calmness or peace, I consider them as a synonymous to each other. Fearlessness or lack of fear, or your fear has gone. In those kind of description was by 71%, and better coping with depression, 54%, enhanced memory, 39%, reduction in stress and anxiety, 63%. So this augurs very well with what has been described in Falshruti in terms of cognitive and tangible both terms. This is repeat slide which you have already seen. So if you look at all these three brackets, it is perfectly fit. I could have used a different sort of picture for that, showing a better fitment or overlap, but I could not anyway. So, and this is something very touching. In 87% of those who acknowledge, yes, they got some worldly success in whatever manner, they say their outlook towards life has undergone a transformation, and they say they live in the state of calmness, ecstasy, and these 87% say joyous, happier, elated. These are the words used by these people without any particular reason. And they no more demand anything to Lord. They just do it, enjoy it, they say, and eagerly wait for the next day or the next repeated recitation. Because they say, it has been reported that it generates so much joy from within. These are the wordings. I'm just quickly looking at the unmeasurable. See, whatever I have said is a dry analysis, statistical. I wish I had better data, because in many cases this age data is not there, location data is only limited, and so many limitations because it was not a single questionnaire to which they responded. So the analysis or the interaction within that larger group, the subgroup and subdivision, and the comparative analysis could not be done for that region. Probably someday I'll do it. So in this, I just quickly go through few selected selected parts of those testimonies, shabdis, because these are emotional and anubhuti aspect. This dry statistical analysis has its own importance, but emotions can't be quantified and measured always. So this is Kerala-based surgeon reciting since last 70 years, quote unquote. As you continue reciting Vishnu Sahasranamam over longer period, you realize your materialistic desires have diminished and reached to the minimal. Sattvika has creeped in. You feel emotionally connected to Bhagwan, who becomes your first and foremost passion in life. Your guru, lover, everything. Thy name itself brings tears to your eyes. Nothing to write more. Love you, Swami. So this is a US-based senior executive, corporate executive, quote unquote. I chant this mantra without having any specific desire in mind. My personal and professional life had improved dramatically. Feel extremely happier and bliss. Able to manage stress and lost all my fears. Married to an understanding girl who became my soulmate. Even I read Sahasranamam for some of my sick relatives who got better. My enemies have turned into my best friends. I started contributing to poor people, feed cows, and started accepting my mistakes. Vishnu Sahasranama has emboldened me to achieve many things on both spiritual and professional fronts. I recommend all to chant Vishnu Sahasranamam as it opens new dimensions in life and spiritual path. Vande Vishnu Bhavya. This is Canada-based radio broadcaster recited 3-month time period at the time he reported this testimony. In August, quote unquote, I'm just quoting, in August 2015, a family member got intestine infection which kept getting worse and doctors couldn't figure it out. Her condition got worse, hospitalized for 11 days, all kind of tests done but no clue. She kept losing weight fast. Suddenly, it dawned on me that I should recite Vishnu Sahasranam suggested by a great spiritual soul 10 years ago and tested now in this helpless situation. After only a month of recitation, miracle happened. I cannot fully describe all the effects my recitation of Vishnu Sahasranam brought about, but the ailment vanished all of a sudden without use of any medicine. I continue to the recital and still doing it. Why? Because I see evidence of its greatness after each recital. I feel good, relaxed, and renewed energy to face all problems, including mental depression. In my case, there was a complete lack of devotion to Lord Vishnu. Yes, it is important. So in my case, there was a complete lack of devotion to Lord Vishnu, as my Ishtadeva is Lord Ganesha. My Sanskrit pronunciation was not also perfect either. Yet, when I resort to recitation of Vishnu Sahasranamam, it not only uplifts my spirits, but also turn around the situation for the better. I could never explain it to myself what mysterious power lied in this Sahasranamam, but there it was, unwavering calm of mind, complete freedom from stress. Just one more, iske baad, sir. This is reported by Delhi-based men. He resided just for 2 months at the time of reporting this testimony. For several years, I had been facing complexities and difficulties in life on multiple fronts. Almost 2 months back, I was advised to start reciting Sahasranamam daily, which I followed. I know that 2 months is not a very long period. The visible impact I had been observing are mind-blowing. I have voluntarily given up meat eating and alcohol. The problems have now been resolved yet, not been resolved yet, just 2 months, but I am no longer perennially tensed, frustrated, depressed, or in dark alley. I know somewhere within my heart that chanting Vishnu Sahasranam with devotion will definitely usher in my golden period, and Lord is just testing my devotion, faith, will, and perseverance. This is just when he recited for last 1 year at the time of reporting this testimony. I had faced several health problems and precarious finances. Someone advised and I started chanting Vishnu Sahasranamam in morning and Devi Mahatmya and in evening every day. It felt amazingly joyful from very first day. First miracle happened on 8th day when a miraculous, unthinkable meeting held with someone I could have never imagined in my life. which culminated into assured finances of my expenses. Hence, I started breathe freely, can eat well, and buy necessary medicines. 1 month of regular chanting stopped the nightmares which I used to have frequently. My anxiety and fear of unknown has also disappeared. My skin become more youthful. Even plants in my house change as they grow, as they now grow with lush green leaves and bloom with many flowers. I know I will chant Vishnu Sahasranamam and Devi Mahatyam till the end of my life. And this is R&D scientist, sir. Just okay, sir. So thank you so much. So just one point I just make. So there is clear evidence, overwhelming evidence that devotees they are experiencing falsity in this present era, although it has not been documented in a scholarly manner. There is no literature available. That is number one. And then secondly, enormous scope available for dharmic Indian psychologists, social scientists to carry out seminal experiences, empirical studies, document the result, and add fresh perspective dimensions to their perspective subject domain. Even conceive new theories which the West and the rest of the world shall follow. Either we do it ourselves or somebody else will appropriate and do, and then we will be just following them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Vinayak Pandey. Though actually this is not directly connected to Vaishnavism, we found this proposal to be useful for all other researchers, for a model of empirical research, how you can do empirical research in areas of religious studies. So he has shown the testimonies part. Actually, when he is reading out the testimonies part, you must have remembered who do these testimonies mostly on the YouTube for conversion. It is all testimonies all the time. But this is not that kind of testimony of jish kind. It is practical, scientific kind of testimonies that he has done.